All right, what if your government could pass laws, but no one had to follow them? That's the question that Alexander Hamilton is asking in Federalist number 15. And his answer is pretty blunt. He says basically, such a government isn't a government at all. It's just a ghost. And this essay in particular is Hamilton's. Well, Hamilton at his sharpest. I mean, he's using a lawyer's precision. He's using kind of a military officer's urgency, and also a patriot's warning. Without enforcement, liberty dies in effective slow motion. I'm Matt Hasquin. I'm a high school history teacher, and we're taking this journey through the Federalist Papers all the way up to number 85, and here we are at 15. The United States, under the Articles of Confederation, as we set the stage here, was united in name only. Congress could recommend, Congress could request, it could plead, but it really couldn't compel anything. It couldn't raise troops, it couldn't collect taxes, and it couldn't even ensure its own laws were obeyed. And Hamilton describes it as a government destitute even of the shadow of constitutional power. Constitution, small c, is effectively defined as a plan of government. Well, he's effectively saying there's no plan here. Each state acted like an independent union. They ignored national decisions when those decisions were inconvenient to the states. And so the result was, well, bankruptcy, disorganization, danger. And the core message that Hamilton's trying to put out here is pretty simple. A government that cannot enforce its laws is no government at all. He calls the Articles of Confederation a political monster. It's a league that's pretending to actually be a nation. So laws must apply not to the states, but to individual citizens. Otherwise, the Union is just a treaty, and one that every member can break at will. Hamilton looks at the Confederation as kind of a disease, and he diagnoses the disease as it legislates for states and not people. And when the national government passed a law, it depended on each state's legislature to enforce it. And that meant 13 different interpretations, 13 timelines, 13 excuses. And he calls it a system perpetually tottering on the brink of anarchy. And Hamilton then goes on to paint a grim picture of America in 1787. Soldiers go unpaid, credit is ruined, foreign powers begin mocking us. And then also we have domestic unrest on the rise. Think Shays' Rebellion. Now, he warns that if nothing changes, the republic will collapse from weakness, not from conquest. And he says, hey, we have reached almost the last stage of national humiliation. It's a statement of both despair and defiance. And Hamilton is unapologetic, and he basically says government must have coercive authority. Not because he loves power, but because he understands human nature. Without consequence, laws are just advice. Without the ability to enforce them, justice becomes voluntary. And he argues that the Constitution must empower the federal government to act directly upon the people, to tax, to regulate, to defend. Otherwise, America will remain a hollow promise. Now, this isn't just about money, it's not just about policy, it's about dignity. Hamilton believes weakness invites disrespect. And he goes on to write that other nations will see America as a species of political absurdity. We talk of liberty, but we can't even pay our debts or protect our treaties. He's not appealing to fear, he's trying to appeal to self-respect. So to be free, a nation must first be functional. So, Hamilton again turns to history. He recalls the fate of ancient Greek confederacies and the Dutch Republic, both systems where weak central governments led to chaos and then foreign domination. And he warns that the same destiny awaits America if we continue treating federal law like a polite suggestion. Domination by foreign powers is in our future. So, the heart of Federalist number 15 is Hamilton's insistence that federal government must act upon individuals, not just states. He begins redefining sovereignty itself. Under the Constitution, power flows directly between citizens and the nation, not through the unreliable filter of state governments. And that's how a republic stays both strong and free. Now, Hamilton his tone kind of, it has this real sense of urgency behind it, that the United States is not dying from tyranny, it's actually dying from weakness. He writes that the rhythm, well, he writes with the rhythm of someone that's pleading with reason. We are a nation unworthy of the name. He wants readers to feel the shame of paralysis and the pride that could come from reform. So that isn't despair, it's effectively the prelude to rebirth. So back to the chain of reasoning that we do in these things. There's 5 points here that we can make if we tighten up the logic that Hamilton's trying to lay out here. First, the Articles of Confederation legislate for states, not for people. The second thing would be laws without enforcement are just illusions. Third, a weak union invites chaos and debt and contempt. Fourth, the Constitution fixes this by empowering national law to act directly. And then the fifth point would be real liberty requires real authority. And there's your summary of the Federalist number 15. Now, the reason why it matters today still is that Hamilton's argument still echoes in every debate about federal power, from taxes to civil rights, from infrastructure to public safety. We still wrestle with the balance between freedom and enforcement. But Hamilton's message is timeless. It's a nation that cannot act together, cannot last together. So the 3 takeaways we can have here would be a government must have the power to enforce its laws. Weakness, not strength, is the true enemy of liberty. And finally, national dignity begins with national competence. Federalist number 15 is Hamilton's, it's his thunderclap. He's done warning everyone. Now he's demanding action. He knows that if America cannot govern itself effectively, freedom will vanish, not in a storm of oppression, but in a slow fade of disorder. The Constitution, for him, is the cure, which is a system strong enough to work and wise enough to last. I'm Matt Haskell. I'm a high school history teacher. These are another thing you should know by being alive. If this helped you see the Constitution as a living system of strength, share it, follow, hang around for number 16, because Hamilton's going to go even further explaining why federal law must supersede state defiance. Thanks for watching.